affecting the society, that is drug abuse, moral decadence, as well as substance abuse. And we will be discussing all this, of course, not alone, but with invited guests who will be able to come up with solutions to these issues. But first, let us have a preview of the incidences that have been happening in most of the high schools.
Why go to high school when you can't go to school high? A question posed at the back of the minibus the students were arrested in. They were getting high at the time of their arrest, but not on their way to school. They ended up guests of the state before they were ferried back to their schools in a more appropriate means of transport. But this bus, run by Hanover Group, christened Millionaire, will not be making any more money for some time. Its license has been withdrawn. The driver and the conductor charged. Team Cash cashed in on the wrong route. The vehicle is licensed to ply the Mwiki route, but the money team changed routes and ventured elsewhere where they met the students. It is said that the students organized to have the minibus pick them while they left school. It's graffiti, quite telling. On one of the panels, the message was clear, sort of speaking for the students. It reads, quote, "So what? We get drunk. So what? We smoke weed. We're just having fun. We don't care who sees. So what? We go out. That's how it's supposed to be." End of quote. But on this day, someone who cared saw what they were doing.
Ndiko inapiga wimbo kubwa sana. Ndio tukatokea. Tukakuta ni watoto wa shule wako kwa hiyo basi.
The matatu culture in Kenya has evolved over time, and souping up the PSVs is the in thing. Loud music and bold writings are the hallmark of their character. Owners go to great lengths to make their vehicles look good to attract clientele in a very competitive environment. The graffiti on the PSVs was done away with during the advent of the Michuki laws, but last year got an approval of the president and they came back with a bang.
Na ndipo tunasema tunataka hata hawa vijana muwasaidie, hawa wanachora. Hiyo ni biashara pia ya vijana wetu. Yeah.
Plain looking public service vehicles such as the ones right behind me are generally considered less attractive and not competitive enough. That's why motor vehicle owners go to great lengths to decorate their buses in fancy colors and telling graffiti, not only to attract but also to retain their clientele, and some of the most faithful clientele are the students. There have been allegations that these students were not only drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana, but were also having sex. And the police, ironically, will be relying on the CCTV footage from the minibus to offer crucial information that may help in the investigations. In the meantime, the fate of the bus lies in the hands of the authorities. It will depend on what the owners say when they answer to the summons. Millionaire, in the meantime, remains decommissioned. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
As I had told you earlier, welcome back and thank you for staying tuned to the conversation. I now have my panelists, and starting from my far left is Sophia Gadembi, who is our psychologist, the parent, who is Priscilla Njoroge, and a teacher here who is Anne Yedeji. We would like to start with you telling us or kindly briefing us regarding the rules and regulations in your school.
Nowadays, high school it's no longer a conducive environment for studies. It's like a reject place. The rules are so hard on us. You don't get time to get your studies so well. And like, for example, from my school, you have more than 100 rules to follow. And if you just break one, you're into a very big mess. And if your parent is told about it, she counts you as a reject. She don't give you a chance to explain why you're doing some things. And if the teacher is asked about you, it's no longer a positive answer to your parent. It's ever a negative.
What makes you think that these regulations set by the school are so strict or hard to follow, as she has put it?
Okay, Sam. I think the regulations set by the schools are too harsh to follow because first you find that we have really lost our trust to our parents. You find when the teacher tells a parent that your student or your son is really indisciplined, you find that the parent will put her trust or his trust to the teacher and believe in him rather than his son. And there we find the rules really harsh for us to follow.
Okay, I'm Tony. You can see about that drug abuse. Mostly high school students usually take a drug abuse because it's a form of releasing stress. If you see a Form 1 student and joining high school, he may find some elder boys, senior boys taking drugs. And you see like a Form 4 coming to a Form 1 and telling him, guy, if you want to survive in high school, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to like to take this drug to reveal your stress, something like that.
I want to engage the teacher in this conversation.
I would first of all clarify to the student of today that rules and regulations have been there since ages and they have been followed. Remember, in schools without rules and regulations, it would not be a learning institution. So the rules have been implemented and they are there to help equate the students from all classes so that they are able to learn without much comparison among us themselves. Therefore, we always say that rules and regulations should not be the determining factor for the students to enter or engage themselves in immorality, and it's all about adhering to the rules and obeying the rules, knowing what has taken you into that institution.
And when the students come back to the schools, when they are drunk, what kind of activity do you engage them in? Or when you find that a student is taking or is addicted to drugs, what's your action?
One thing that we do as professional teachers is to first of all investigate what type of a drug has the student taken. What has triggered him or her to engage himself or herself into drug taking? And in most cases, we share with them. You first of all try to understand that student so that, remember, at the end of the day, they will disclose why they engage themselves into drugs or in the immorality. And with the few reasons that they give, which we treat as private and confidential, we are able now to follow them, monitor them, and where necessary, we involve the parents. And if the parents is already informed, we can now organize for further advice from the counselors.
Madam Priscilla, as a parent, you have had a complaint from the students that when they come home, they air their issues or they cry to you to listen to them, but you end up ignoring to their cry. And that is why they engage in drug abuse and any other misconduct. What's your take on that?
It's true, parents, we have failed in a way, but still the children still, they have their take in that. They are rebellious, very rebellious. Now as a parent, you won't tell me that my son will be coming in the house at 10, or we say you are joining high school, you involve yourself in a peer group, you change your lifestyle, and then when you can't stay at home, definitely you'll have to go to school. But you see, as my son here is saying, that it's kind of, they are thrown to schools to like rejected.
Yes.
If there's obedience, there's God. If you are an upright person, if you follow instructions, this thing will never come your way. But as parents, we have also failed. We've not provided for our children. You failed to provide like a girl. If you've not provided for that girl enough money, definitely she will go out of the way.
Regarding the news that have been making headlines, it is the blame is on the parents that they are failing to engage their daughters and sons in activities when they get home from school. What kind of activity do you engage your daughter and son when they get back?
It's an agreement. You have duties, like you don't rely on house girls. You tell that daughter or son, when you come from school, you have such and such activity, and it's a must you do. You agree from this time to this time. You know, there are people who want to come from school and stay in watching TV the whole evening. You don't want to do duties, but you agree on every duty that you will do before time comes, maybe to sleep.
Do you think the parents have failed in some way that have contributed to this moral degradation in the society today?
Definitely, yes. And there are some things that the parents are doing to the students or their sons and daughters, such that even when they come back to school, they undermine the teachers. How are they doing it? You are taking your son and daughters and you are treating them, you love them so much, overlaughing them, such that you are over-providing that which is required. And therefore, when they come to school, they feel we are much more important compared to our teachers. We are also, as parents, the parents are not monitoring their sons and daughters, and the way they are doing it is that they are not having counseling sessions with them, with their sons and daughters. So instead of following them up, you are doing activities which you as a role model, remember as a parent, you are a role model. You are drinking in front of them and then you drive. So tomorrow they pick the car keys and they drink and drive just like their father or mother.
Do you think that could lead or that could cause your emotions or effects towards the drug abuse?
For me, I think yes. If you see, if your family, you are used to taking drugs, like it's not a big deal. If you go to high school, you see like it's a lifestyle. Definitely, when you see other friends engaging in drug abuse like that, to you it seems like it's a normal thing to do. And as you go on, like you go to Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, you will find yourself engaging your friends to join you to this kind of illegal substances.
We are going for a commercial break, but we shall be back and we shall engage the psychologist who will tell us more on drug abuse and effects of drug abuse. Stay tuned. We want to engage our psychologist here who will help us understand all these issues and the root cause and what can we do to curb these issues. We would like you to tell us what drug abuse is and what contributes to the high school students abusing drugs in our modern day society.
My name, as I said, is Sophia Katebi, a psychologist, counselor, and as requested, drug abuse is when we take a drug where the way it is not supposed to be taken, or illegal drugs. For example, you can take a Piriton as and we can regard it as drug abuse because you are taking it not for the purpose of an allergy, but because of a purpose of being addicted on something.
What contributes to the high school students consuming drugs?
What leads the students to take drugs? One is the parenting method we are using. And that is where the students say that when they are taken to school is as if they are being chased away from home. And also when they are given whatever they have been given, the money, the teacher said that they are given a lot of money so, which they come with to school.
When bringing up your daughter or sons, what kind of environment do you bring them up in?
How you bring up your kid is the way this girl or boy will grow. If he grows knowing that smoking is fine, having premature sex is fine, even when the wrong time comes, it's in him, it's in that person.
when you find out that the students are drug addicts, what advice or what action do you take?
I would say, as a professional teacher, that if the ministry, because the rules and regulations of learning institutions comes from the Ministry of Education, I would empower the ministry and I would support the ministry in implementing very strict rules and regulations, because one thing that can make these students or these sons and daughters to reform is by making sure every rule and regulation given out by the Ministry of Education, which is within the docket of that ministry, that every student must follow the rules and regulations that are guiding all learning institutions.
Don't go away, we shall be back.
Okay, welcome back to our show. My name is Gatete Njoroge. I'll be the one who will be driving this show at this particular moment. Our panelists today, we have a teacher, we have a parent, we have a psychologist, and from where I'm taking charge, I want us to discuss about social media, and in terms of social media influence, in terms of bringing up a child in this generation and in this time, and the effect of social media in terms of morality among our students, among our children. Maybe I start with a parent first.
The social media thing, it's a bit, it's terrible, because you find out like some of the parents are giving out phones, the smartphone phones, laptops, tablets to very young children, not even in high school, even in college. They start from very young age. You find out very young children are engaging themselves even in things. There's something we call chat rooms. You find a girls very young, not even a teenager. They're chatting with some people they don't know, hook up, meet, yet they end up being raped.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe now we go to a teacher. This question, you come to a class, maybe you're a high school teacher, now we are in a college. Apparently for them they're allowed to use phones. What do you do in a situation that we come to a class and you get a student with a phone? What is the first step that you'll do in terms of maybe helping or disciplining these students?
If we can be able to control a college level or a university student in the classroom, we are talking of the classroom environment, because outside the classroom you can use it, and we are not limiting our students, whether in pre-unit or in university, to use the social media activities or facilities. Why? Because it's like limiting them to adapt to the changing technology, and we need them to cope with the technology changes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think now it's an interactive session. Anyone with a question?
My question goes to the teacher. You've said that it takes measures for you to be employed in the private some of the institutions. So my question is, you've said that people are usually, you undergo some maybe some questioning, you have to have a good conduct and stuff. So if that's true, when you go to the class and then you start drinking, you know, the board that actually employed you doesn't know that you actually started drinking, because they have your good conduct and they know that you're morally upright. So what would you do? You as a teacher, you wouldn't support a teacher coming in class drunk, but it happens. What's your take on that?
Thank you for your good question. I want to answer that question with a lot of wisdom, because in most of the learning institutions, as I said, our teachers are posted by the TSC, and the head teachers or the principals in charge of those schools are their watchdogs, and every principal is given a position to keep watch over his or her teachers.
Okay,
in those schools.
Just cut you short. Even as you answer this question, what if the principal is the one who's drunk? Just as you answer this question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for the principal, if the principal is drunk, again we have the director of education within the county because every head teacher again is a director of education, and I want to tell you, bad news spread like fire. So any principal who is drunk, he is able to be caught faster than a teacher.
My question goes to the counselor. Now, when you were growing up, there was no social media. Do you think you have the capacity to understand these students and their addiction towards social media? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. When I was growing up, I can say that it was not as much as nowadays. The media had not, I think when I was born, there was just black and white TV. And so that time, there wasn't much about the media. But nowadays, a lot has come up and a lot is going to come up. And what I can say is that as compared to for that time and now, we can embrace the social media, but in the right way.
I wanted to pose a question to the counselor. Do you know, it said anything that leads to sin will appear like sexual immorality. So this might seem so funny, but is kissing part of sexual immorality?
Okay. Okay, as you know very well, I talked about the genital stage, and that genital stage, it means that you are very, very, you are having a lot of energy. Intimate kissing, it may lead to the sexual act, which maybe it was not your intention, but because you have no control over yourself, it may lead to that. So I may say that it is always good to avoid.
Show. Join us in our next episode, same place, same time. Goodbye.
Moja ni fahari yetu, undugu ndio nguvu, chuki na ukabila hatutaki hata kamwe, lazima tuungane tuijenge